Hello everyone, this is Hand here with yet another video after what I think it was like an 8-month hiatus in between the uploads. I hope that this book review is going to make up for all the time lost. The book that I have prepared for you to review today is Dead Souls, written by Nikolai Gogol. This book is a Russian masterpiece, another Russian masterpiece I should say. It has been written by Nikolai Gogol, obviously, as I said, and it is set in 1840s and tells the tale of Pavel Ivanovich Chichikov. In the third person view, as Chichikov, the main character of the story, moves from city to city in order to fulfill his purpose, which is buying dead souls. And what I mean by saying dead souls, buying dead souls, he intends to buy the slaves who have died in a property and whose owners have not written them off in their tax forms as debt. He goes from person to person, which are mainly consisting of high city officials, and he first socializes with them. As I said, he's a very likable person. Everyone takes a liking to him and invites him to their homes. And what he does after he socializes with those characters, he buys dead souls from them essentially. The most interesting part of the story was when Chichikov receives this very detailed list of where the serfs are coming from, who was whose child, what were the relationships between the serfs, what purpose they had in the land, in the grand scheme of the land, whether they were wheel makers or they were farmers or just the kitchen staff. It really gave a detailed description as to their full names and everything. And as Chichikov was reading this list of names, it really interested him because it really made him think and ponder as to the serfs' upbringing, what made them choose the path that they did, that led them to their eventual death. And this is a thought that I have often when I encounter a name that is of a person who has recently passed away or has passed away in during the course of history, because I get to thinking that what made them to do what they did and what made them to choose what they chose. If that is of interest to you, you will understand what I'm saying. And it is really interesting for me to know that there has been a whole generation that has 100% died during the past like 100 years. And that is fascinating to me, the fine line between a speculation and reality of a person. That's something that I picked up on. The story is relayed to the reader in the third person view as Chichikov moves from city to city for the purpose of buying dead souls. And if you choose to read this book, the book becomes less obscure for you, because at the time when I read this book, I had no idea what dead souls meant. I thought it was some supernatural reference or something. But apparently it means that he wants to buy dead slaves who have died on some piece of property, because apparently in the 1840s Russia did not give freedom to the servants and to the serfs who have worked in a land that was owned by a high city official or someone who had lots of money. So the farming and all the profits and everything went to the owner of the land, as opposed to being divided as working as wages to the people who actually helped making those products, right? So he buys those souls, and that's the end of it. But where it gets interesting is the way that Nikolai Gogol relays the story, and the way he explains different characters to the reader. And by the way, one interesting point that I have picked up while reading this book was that Gogol refrained from giving descriptions to any female characters. I mean, the one time he really tried and he really promised to give a real world description to a female character, he didn't do it. He just did not. He ended the paragraph by three dots. He just moved on to saying that, sorry, I did not have the courage to give descriptions as to such high character, and that was the end of it. But yeah, other than that, the story is really magnetizing. Although I did not have one clear idea as to what the story really entailed for me, but it was a really interesting prose for me. Um, and another thing which might be important to you, it wasn't to me because the journey was much more interesting than the ending of the book. The book does not have any ending. He apparently burned half of, or the majority of book two, and the copy that I have here is a really old copy, which was apparently the first English translation that happened in France or something in 1930s. It ends the book two by ending it in the middle of a sentence, and that was really disappointing. To see that I could not get the ending of Chichikov and what came of him, you know. If that is something that's important to you and you don't really care about how the book is written or what the descriptions are, or if you're the kind of person who skips those descriptions, then I think that this book might not be for you, because it has no clear ending. Just like Kafka's Castle. No, that book did not have any ending, and it was in fact published after his death by one of his friends or relatives, or I don't remember, but yeah, it had the same fate as this one. And the reasoning that Gogol gave for burning the book was that this book was not good enough, and apparently he did not want to publish this book at all. And it was not until he gave this book to one of the to another Russian, renowned Russian writer, that he decided to actually make this book into a novel, which was in notes initially. Apparently, he went to World and wrote down his observations, and apparently it was so much interesting that the other renowned Russian author gave him the advice of making this into a book, and eventually he burned down the second book, but I'm happy that I have a book and a half of it right now in 2022. But yeah, if you ended up watching this video through completion of an assignment, or if you are just a book junkie like I am, I have taken pleasure into giving something to you, if I indeed given something to you. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you liked it and don't decide to leave a like, I thank you anyway, and hope you have a great day. Until the next one, bye.